Austin, you're very welcome to the show. It's a bit of a departure from the night interns. Where did the idea come from?
I suppose essentially it comes from the fact that I grew up in the general area of where the book is set. So growing up in 1980s Dundalk, the Troubles and that whole phase of Irish history was very much front and centre. Even though I had no direct involvement, or my family had no direct involvement, you really couldn't get away from it. The main inspiration was just wanting to relive that era and to spend time in the company of that type of language and that type of humour, and that type of human carry-on.
Just for the viewers who don't know, could you just paint a little kind of picture of, the time and the place and what's going on in Cross?
So the book is set in 1994, which was the year of the IRA ceasefire. It's set in the fictional or semi-fictional town of Cross, which is a town on the border, but set in the north of Ireland, in a very Republican area. And it centres around the kidnapping or abduction of a local troublemaker who may or may not be guilty of being an informer, and the various events and occurrences and interactions which all follow on from that abduction.
They're a scary bunch of characters, Austin. I mean, Francie is the closest thing we have to a sympathetic character, isn't he?
He is, as you said, the sort of sympathetic character. If you were to ask yourself the question, well, who is the hero of the book? You might sort of name him, but then you have to remember in his day would have been very much, a militant type of individual, a bit of an extreme character ideologically, a sort of a purist. So he's sort of a behind the scenes intelligence organizer type figure, finding out information about the other side so that he can then supply to his the people who work with him who will actually do the violence. He sees now this whole ceasefire coming down the tracks, and it really puts all that he's sort of stood for and fought for in his own mind up for question.
I mentioned it was scary. I mean, Francie is all that stands between the community and some absolute psychopaths, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if you're sort of living on the edge of the law, or frankly, on the other side of it, and you have a view of the state as a foreign entity and an illegitimate entity, it leads to a sort of a licentiousness and openness to violence and dysfunctional behaviours. And that's certainly what many of these characters are living with.
I was fascinated by your kind of journey into writing, because you're an oncologist.
Yeah, that's my day job. I work at the Mater Hospital. The writing was always there, thanks to a very good English teacher I had, but then sort of got sidetracked from it. And then when I arrived in New York in 2006, they put me in these staff accommodation on the Upper East Side, across from the hospital, no television, no internet. So I was like, well, if I want to try and be a writer, now's the time to do it. And I joined in a group called the Writers Studio in the Greenwich Village in Manhattan. And that was fantastic. It just got me going,
You're writing these, I believe, in transit and while you're waiting for your children when they're doing sports.
That's true, yeah. My writing office is the Dart. And so I get to sit on that for half an hour. Sometimes I go early and I get another 10, 15 minutes. And then if I'm waiting for my son to come from football or my daughter to come out of gymnastics, that's another 45 minutes, an hour. I actually think it's a bit of an advantage, to be honest with you, the fact that I have this very focused period of time that's available to me, and then I close the laptop and I do my other job.
Austin, thank you very much, and I hope you have great success with this.
Thank you, Tom.